Hi, folks. Here we are, back again, left and right. Tom McLaughlin, Gino
Right.
Finicella. Yeah,
Wrong.
he's right. He's sometimes
Right
right,
and wrong.
but never admits it's wrong. And here we are, February the 3rd, 2016. This is amazing how fast this year is going.
We
Really?
must be having fun, Gino.
Have you got your taxes done yet?
No.
Have you done that? No? I've got mine totally finished.
Oh,
I
you're a
just
good
have to
boy.
mail them in.
And
I
you
think
know,
I've got about 2 farthings
I can't
coming
wait to
back.
give them to the government. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I know how wisely they'll
They
be
do
spent.
such a good job
They
with
will
it.
be,
Actually,
yeah.
the feeling that I have owning the tail section of a B-52 makes me feel very happy.
What?
Here we are. Hey, you know
What are you
what?
talking about?
By paying taxes.
Owning the tail section
I
of
own
the B-52?
part of a B-52, yeah, because of it, because the government pays for it. So I pay for it.
They don't give you title to anything.
No, I know. Well, I've got a conditional title. Hey, we've got a question here from top management. Just came in through that letter opener in the door. First question, yeah,
Oh, upside down.
this is a wonderful, you're gonna love this. Go
Did
ahead.
Trump's refusal to participate in the latest Fox News Republican debate cause him to lose the Iowa caucuses?
Do you want me to start on that?
Go ahead.
No, it didn't lose it. He didn't lose that because you had to have a very, very, very conservative right winger to win the caucus in Iowa. And if you think about it, the last several that have won it on the right, Pat Robertson, another winner, he heals people on TV.
You what?
Heals people on TV.
Heels. Oh.
Yeah. Pat Buchanan, remember him with the pitchforks?
He won the Iowa caucus?
I believe he did. Solimiro there, whatever his name is, the Pennsylvania governor, senator.
Rick Santorum.
Rick Sanatorium. And then they had Huckabee, the Reverend Huckabee, who, as luck would have it, just dropped out day before yesterday. And who else? And now Pablo Cruz, the senator from. So, what does this tell you when you look at this? Absolutely not presidential material. None of them have won. So I think that this will be another. So actually, it's better for Trump to finish second if you're a Trumpeteer. That's it.
That's your take on things.
That's my
huh?
take. He is much luckier having lost it than winning it.
I think Trump is hampered by his personality, his narcissistic personality. People like that he's. One woman, the woman cuts my hair, said, "What we need is a junkyard dog." And Donald Trump is a junkyard dog, and we need
Wow.
somebody to be tough. And I
Wow.
understood what she meant, but I don't trust Trump's bona fides as a conservative
His bona
at all.
fides? No.
He gives money to Democrats. He's all over the map on his positions on the issues, and he said, "Well, I was in business. I had to be there."
Absolutely.
No, you got to have principles. You got to have some kind of core principles, and that you live by. And he doesn't. He doesn't have them, and he's impetuous.
So you
he's like a
don't-
little kid.
So do you think it hurt him or
sometimes.
helped him?
I think it hurt him. I think
Really?
that when he said, "Yeah, well, I don't like that woman, Megyn Kelly. She's overblown. She's overrated, and so
pretty
forth."
good looking.
Not my type.
But she's pretty. You can't say she looks like, Menachem Begin, for God's sakes. Good God Almighty. You see, you've left.
Some women are attractive to me that are not attractive to other people. And she doesn't fit that bill. I think she's tough and smart. I've watched her grill people. I think she's good on the
She's
show.
a griller.
Her show starts at 9:00. I'm snoring by 9:00. I can't stay awake that late. I'm
Because
an
you missed a
old
lot.
guy.
Hannity.
So-
She took Hannity's show, by the way.
Anyway, and she was smart enough to 3 weeks in a row to put my quote at the beginning of her show. So that shows she
really
has some
did.
intelligence.
Did you lie? What was it?
Yeah.
Who's
Well,
lying?
that question I asked Hillary, somebody's lying.
Yeah,
Who is
yeah.
it? Well, it's not me, she said. And so, yeah.
You won't
so
be on her Christmas card list this year.
I'm waiting to be audited, and I need, yeah.
It
so,
won't bother you, believe me.
So they're not
Believe
going to
me.
get a lot of money out of me.
So anyway, we've decided.
I think Trump
think
is
it hurt him?
impetuous. He's a child. I'm taking my ball and go home, and that's what he did at the end. And that was a window into him. I don't want him as
Continuing
president.
a little bit on, I think he may have just about hit his shelf life. And it's not because of Iowa. I think that now he's getting in this kind of like more human kind of activity where he's not calling women fat beasts and all the kind of insulting things that said the poor
You're
handicapped
talking about
guy.
Rosie O'Donnell. It's okay if you're
No,
talking
whatever,
about
whoever
her.
they're talking about. It's just, you don't want a future president of the United States, regardless of his party, to be making fun of handicapped people or women.
I don't like
people
the
of
man. I never
color.
got by the hair. I just, so anyone who combed his hair like that and sprayed it and whatever, I mean, I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? Don't you see yourself in the mirror in the morning?
He could buy a
I
new
can't-
head with
I
his
mean,
money.
you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but
Oh, go ahead.
with him, I just couldn't get by that.
Yeah,
I
no, you
just,
can't-
and then,
and
you
it
know,
is
the
a
way he
hurdle.
does this Mussolini
Yeah,
thing.
the Mussolini look. We
that,
both
you know,
targeted that.
and he'd roll his eyes when somebody else was talking
He'd
on the
roll.
debate stage,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it just, I'm thinking, I don't want this guy as the.
Yeah.
He is an embarrassment.
But the funny
He
point
is.
about it, he's got a big lead in New Hampshire. I mean, I don't know. It just appears to me that he may win New Hampshire going away. I don't think so, but
If the polls are
could.
correct, and sometimes they are, and sometimes
I don't think they're correct anymore because of the cell phones. I don't think they get to the cell phone, and I think that's what happened in Iowa. A lot of kids voted for Bernie, but they don't get the cell phones to call and
because they can't
Yeah.
be polled.
they can't be
You
polled.
get? Do you ever get? I get a lot of calls to be polled. Do you? On
I don't
my
get any.
landline?
Nobody cares about
Whenever
what I
they
think.
get, and usually they're robots
Yeah.
that call you, right?
No.
So then you.
Well,
And
you're a
I-
registered Republican, right?
sometimes Democrats call me because I
Really?
used to be one, and
Ah.
I'm still on their rolls evidently, and my phone number hasn't changed for 38 years or so, so they still call me.
Isn't it funny how it, you
And
know.
but I don't answer them anymore. I don't want to be bothered.
So maybe we
Especially
should-
I don't like talking to robots. I want to talk to human beings. Right? So
I talked to some robots yesterday morning. I had coffee with a bunch of Republicans down at the Glen Junction, and I had to bring them up to date on the real world. It was pretty interesting. It was a great discussion, and I think they offered a reward for my capture, a bounty on me now after I talked to them, because they did.
did you annoy people again?
I annoyed the hell out of them. Yeah, I really did.
Because
Hey, why
of
don't we
your
go on?
point of view in the world?
Yeah, my point of view. That's
Yeah,
a
that
little
can
bit
be
big one.
annoying, yeah.
Should we go on to our timed portion of the show here? And do you want to start off, or would you?
I don't have my notes with me because I'm an old guy, so I
right.
forgot two things this morning. I forgot to take my Benadryl,
Yeah,
right, because
yeah.
I have the sniffles
nasal
and so
sinus,
forth.
yeah.
And I also forgot, and I have my manila folder with my
Well,
notes.
let me give you a couple of things.
And well, go ahead.
Well, let me give you a couple of
I'm
things to
just
chew
gonna-
on.
I'm
You're
just
gonna-
gonna pick
Ted
you
Cruz.
apart today,
Ted Cruz.
Gene.
I feel. I know you kind of like.
But
Ted
I am
Cruz.
ready to talk about one particular
Okay,
thing.
but you kind of like Ted Cruz. You thought.
I
that he-
like Ted
yeah.
Cruz, yes, very much.
Now, what I find about him is that with a lot of people that I know that describe him, now these Republicans these Republicans I talked to yesterday were not in favor of Ted Cruz.
Because?
Now, I don't know. Well, one of the things we talked about,
Well, it's important.
they
What-
considered
the
him
because is important,
they
isn't
considered
it?
him fanatical.
Fanatical.
That he denies any human addition to the problems with climate change.
Which
He
I agree
wants
with.
to abolish the IRS. Now, that's a lot of
I
people
agree
would
with that,
like to
too.
do that, but he doesn't want a division between church and state. These are things he's brought out at some of his talks.
He doesn't want a division
Doesn't want a
between
division.
church
He
and
feels
state.
like the church should have
Never
equal.
heard him say anything about that.
He has a very confrontational foreign policy. Now, that's what these people talked about and what I view on the news. I don't particularly know much about
You were
him.
talking to Republicans?
Oh, sure, I always
this
do.
was the
I know
opinion of
many,
Republicans?
yes, I know many. They liked, actually, they liked Donald Trump. They didn't like him a lot. They liked Donald Trump. Second, they like Carly Fiorina. And I don't know, I think the other one's kind of up in the air. But they like Carly Fiorina and Donald Trump. And Chris Christie. But not strongly. None of them feel strongly about this campaign. And I think that's what you're going to
Really
see.
don't.
Yeah, they don't feel strongly about
Wow.
it. I think that we're going to have a three-way race.
Are they at least anxious that we have to not allow another socialist Democrat in the White House, even though
They absolutely hate Obama. They absolutely hate
that,
Obama.
that well, you seem to
You're
think that people hate Obama because he's black, right?
part of it.
You often say that,
me. Yeah.
but what they want Obama gone because of his policies, because of what he's doing to the country. That I think that is
Yeah.
the people that I hang out with and whose opinions I respect, and those are the ones I tend to hang out with and ask him, what do you
sure.
think of this? What do you think of that? We have discussions. It's his policies. And also, I asked Rand Paul, who just dropped out, I heard, this
Randy
morning,
Paul,
right?
yeah.
At the Conway Sun, I said, what's the difference between the Socialist Party and the Democrat Party? He said, none.
There's
And I
none.
agree with him. There isn't any. I
Not
mean,
a lot.
Hillary's a socialist, Obama's a socialist, and Sanders is a
Most
socialist.
Democrats-
Is a socialist, but Sanders is the only one who says, yes, I am a socialist.
Hmm.
And Hillary and Obama pretend they're not. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
they are, both of them. And that's what my column. We interviewed him. I had a chance to ask a question to Bernie
Mm-hmm.
last week, 2 weeks ago now, I guess. And I should have asked. Here's what I should have asked him. And I kicked my butt on the way home. Why didn't you think of this, Tom? Do you believe that you inherited white privilege, and do you think you should renounce your white privilege?
White
He's so
privilege?
race obsessed. All Democrats are,
Are they?
but Bernie especially. And but I didn't ask him that. Instead, I asked him about reparations. I said, do you think that descendants of black slaves deserve reparations? And he wouldn't answer my question.
Yeah.
And I asked him twice. And then Mark Garang asked, followed up and said, well, do you agree with reparations in principle? He wouldn't answer the question. He dodged me. Obviously, big dodge.
Just.
So he had answered the question before, and he said to somebody else in Iowa, and he said, no, I'm against reparations. Why? Well, because one, it wouldn't pass the Congress, and two, it would be divisive. So my question focused on, why did you say it would be divisive? Now, what I'm leading him up to is, I was hoping he'd give me some real, well, it'd pit blacks against whites, and how do you determine how much, if you're a part, your ancestors were slaves, but you got,
Yeah.
how do you just, but
How
you're
do you
only
decide?
1/16 blacks, or do you deserve 1/16 of this fixed amount of reparations and so forth?
Yeah.
And then who pays it? Do you then also pay the taxes that would go to
Oh,
pay
it's-
these?
oh, well,
It's so
it's-
complicated. It's ridiculous, but it's being pushed, and the Democrat Party being pushed by Black Lives Matter.
Put it this
and,
way,
and all
I
these
don't,
other
I'm a
black writers.
Democrat, okay, and I don't see it. I don't know any Democrats that I've ever met that strongly feel that reparations should be made, because the reparations have been made. All right, at least.
Affirmative action is a part of the reparations.
You know,
and that's what I was going to
there's
lead up
a lot
to.
of
We've had
there's
it
a
for
lot of
50 years
benefits
now.
that they have gotten since, say, Johnson, probably, trying to repay and repair the damage caused by racism and the fact they weren't allowed into various and sundry jobs. I mean, 25 years ago, you never saw a black newscaster, sportscaster. As a matter of fact, back in the 60s, during the days of Alabama under Bear
But we
Bryant,
had Bill Cosby.
there weren't even black. Yeah, in 1970
Look what happened to him.
or 80. But the point is, no. But Bear Bryant never had a black, I don't think, on his football teams until he retired. Just about when he retired. So
That goes back to the 70s, I think.
yeah,
Right?
60s and 70s. So the thing is, that was that was terrible that they couldn't get a fair shake. And I think over the years it has improved a lot as a group. And I think reparations in that sense have been made through the various governmental programs.
Through affirmative action.
Of course. But I mean, they did. They suffered a lot in the 50s
Okay.
and 40s.
And now it's time to stop affirmative action.
Yeah, I don't think, I never felt, even the Bakke case in California, I thought the claim by Bakke was actually right.
Good. We agree on that.
I mean, it's easy for me to agree on this because I can see both sides
Bakke,
of the
probably
coin.
people don't know this because we're old and people, my
Well, it's only in the
audience is probably
70s,
never,
late
wasn't even
70s.
born when the Bakke case
was in
came
the
up.
late
Bakke
70s.
applied to medical school at the University of
Absolutely. I
California,
refused.
and he had much better scores than did the blacks who were admitted to that medical school over him. And so he sued, saying I was discriminated against because I'm white.
Yeah.
And the case
Went to the
as-
Supreme Court.
it did, and when it was decided, it was only, they acknowledged that there's
Yeah.
some of the discrimination was necessary in order to do what you
Exactly,
say, reparations.
Under the
but
Civil Rights Act.
so they only gave him partial.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
But so there would, and that's where the reparation, that was part
they
of
kept
that
affirmative action, and we still have it. There's
don't
another
know.
case coming up, it's before the court this
See, I'm of the opinion that I didn't think, and I still feel this way, I don't think that police and firemen and postal workers deserve a special exemption because they may have been in the service. When they take tests for the federal government, they get an extra 10 or 20 points. Well, that
Yeah.
kept a lot of people off,
Yeah, it did.
on the various jobs. Now,
But that's not race-based. That's based on
well,
you did serve
wound
your
up-
country.
Yeah, but it was
so,
a de
all
facto
right.
situation because the blacks were not able to get those grades. They knows if you got a 90, the
Wait a
white
minute,
guy.
what?
if-
Blacks were not able to get
They
those
weren't able to
grades.
get it because of that, the difference, 20 points. You give 20 points to somebody on a 100-point test, that's a big advantage. So
Yeah.
you might get an 82, and they get an 81, and they wind up with 102, 101, because
Yeah.
they get the extra points because of it.
understand.
So it de
Okay,
facto.
so I thought you was gonna say they
No,
weren't,
I know
blacks
you-
weren't
I
able
know-
to make
no,
it up.
No,
Because
that's
they
not-
weren't
that's not
bright
what I-
enough or something.
So
I
what
thought you were
happened?
walking into
No,
something
I
there,
was,
Daniel.
no, I was
That
not.
would be
It would be a
racist.
tightrope, wouldn't it? But no, I wasn't, I wasn't saying that. But the thing is, they, because of that, did not get it. I remember when there were back in the 70s, there were no blacks on the Boston Police Force or in the Boston Fire Department. Now, obviously, I worked in the post office at Christmas time in the 70s, and there were no blacks working there. So,
Well, now, wait a minute. I graduated from undergraduate degree in 1975.
Mm-hmm.
My brother-in-law in Lowell, Massachusetts, we both lived.
yeah,
He graduated from Lowell Tech, I graduated from Lowell State, now University of Lowell. UMass Lowell.
or something, isn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, he wanted to be a fireman. He had a business degree, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and so he wanted to be a fireman. And so he took the civil service test, studied
Yeah.
like hell to take
Right,
the civil
yeah.
service test. And there's a lot of technical stuff on that.
Sure.
You know, and this element burns, what chemicals are produced from that
Exactly.
element. So you
Yeah.
got to know your
You
stuff.
gotta know your stuff.
He studied and studied and studied, and he did great. He got 90-something on the test, right? Well, he didn't get hired because what they did was they lowered the passing grade for
Oh.
blacks down to 60-something.
Oh, that's wrong.
And they hired blacks
That's-
instead over him. And he was he was
beside
baloney
himself.
about
Yeah,
that.
well,
Yeah.
that was-
and
yeah.
I couldn't blame the guy. Now he came up in a poor part of town. He
How
he
many
worked
years
his
was this,
butt off.
75?
This was about 1975. Well, probably 76 by the time he took the
Yeah,
test.
yeah, I can see that
Yeah.
happening because that was
And,
during the.
but that happens all the time. Still happens.
Yeah,
Still
we should-
happens.
it should- We can agree on that. I don't think it
it's
should.
wrong. It's racism. It is
It's
racism.
reverse. Reverse. It's reverse.
Not
form.
reverse. It's racism. Period. No, it's just straightforward racism. But the prevailing idea from people who evidently on your, I'm glad you agree with me on this, but
On my side?
Democrats very firmly support affirmative action.
Well,
It's
none
part of
that
their
I
platform.
know, but they may be. But I don't know a lot of them that talk that way about it. I think they
Well, I
they
do.
want a level playing field. And for
No,
years.
they don't. They want affirmative
I'm saying-
action.
I should say people that I know want a level
Yeah.
playing
Okay. Well, I'm with you.
Now, I don't, and I think that over time, it's been 50 years since Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time to change. It's
The
time
biggest-
to be, because I think it's level. If it isn't level, then it's obvious racism. I mean, someone comes in for a job and they say, well,
is
they,
racism.
they have found it though. They have found it on people that like on job tests. If you have a name that sounds like it might be black or Hispanic, they've done studies on the fact that you turn in so many resumes to get a job. And all those people tend to get segregated away from the people you want. You want to hire Billy Brown, but you don't want to William F. Brown, but you don't want to hire Malika something or other, right? You know. So there is racism, but I mean it's not what it once
When
was.
you give preferences to one race, then you're obviously discriminating against
Right.
another
Right.
race.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just-
true.
It can't do it any other way.
That's true. I never even
Wrong.
believed in busing. So,
Never did I.
You could put me in. I think that was terrible
Yes.
because I lived in Boston. I was living in Rosendale
Yeah.
at the time, and people got murdered. You know, and yeah, an old man.
Murdered what?
An
Like
old
who?
man down at where the project is. It became the commercial center there, but it was a mall for a while. He was out fishing near, I can't remember the name of the point, and he was murdered by a group of 50 people, 50 kids. And they
Well, what
never.
did it have to do with busing?
It was during the busing
Yeah. so-
times, and
but
well,
what
there was a
did it
lot
have
of
to do with
violence going
busing?
on. There was a lot of violence going on.
So
Black
he was
against white,
50
white against black.
So was he,
He
a
was
white guy
92.
that was killed by
Yeah, he
some
was
black
murdered out
50
at
young
Columbia
black kids?
Point. Yes. It was shocking. Another guy lost his eyes driving down Blue Hill Avenue because there was a lot of open hostility going on. And through Rosendale, Dorchester, that area.
That was federal judge Arthur Garrity.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
big,
thought he was going. It is
big,
called social
bad decision.
engineering.
Yep.
Terrible.
It's insanity.
Terrible.
But I think over the years, I think a lot of people have proven that theory wrong. You
Book
know,
theory.
that you could, by taking a classroom and something, to take kids from 25 miles away
Oh.
and put them here, so you balance out the color in the classroom. That's insane.
Of course it's insane.
It was insane then, and it'd
It's
be
the
insane
same
now.
in affirmative action, busing, all of it, insanity. But
But see,
yet we
that's-
continue to do it because it becomes, it's like ethanol. Ethanol, it
Becomes
costs more money
historical.
to produce ethanol than you get from it when you burn it. Okay?
Yeah.
So
and
now
you
that's,
lose,
that's just
you
that's
lose
a net
mileage. You
lose.
lose mileage.
Yes, and then it drives up the price of corn, and it drives up the price of beef to eat the corn, and it drives it's bizarre.
I don't wanna
But
jump
it's
from civil
become
rights to
entrenched. Okay,
ethanol, but-
so it's
You're
become
funny.
entrenched. Ethanol's become entrenched in
Yeah.
Iowa, just as affirmative action has become entrenched in the Democrat Party. So
And-
now they have a political
Look-
constituency where if you're against it, then you're going to lose that whole block of
All right.
votes.
Everybody, an awful lot of people and companies in this country, okay, rely on the fact that they get better treatment. Will we agree on that? Oil companies get better treatment than others. Banks get better treatment than others. Maybe certain people groups get better treatment than others. Bananas, whatever. They get better treatment because you know what it is? It's the people that can go to Washington and get heard. The problem is the you and the me and the most other people aren't getting heard. We think we're getting heard, but when someone slips $50,000 into one of the politicians' pockets to do something that you think is totally uncalled for, you lose, and you lose every time. This is why you, as an individual, are getting a little bit discouraged with the Republican Party because of people like Ryan and other people that are in Washington that have been sent there by the Republicans in the country to do what they hoped was going to be their bidding. But what they find out is, no, they're not. No, they're not. You can have the rest of the minute if you want. I just took a half a minute to digress.
All right, well.
We get strange things
I'm
taken off in this
good.
happening. in
The
this country.
producer, in an email to both of us, asked us to focus on one particular issue,
Which was it?
and that had to do with this Planned Parenthood case down in
Oh,
Houston,
yeah,
Texas.
yeah.
Okay, and
You want to talk about it?
yeah, I do, because when I got the email, I started looking into it, and
Yeah.
I'd gotten another email from a guy in Madison, a retired Marine colonel, who sends me stuff, and he said, I hadn't met the guy, but so I put it aside, and I said, okay, I'll check that out. And it was bizarre
start
that,
this over.
okay,
Go
so
ahead.
people, our viewers most know these Planned Parenthood videos, where you had a couple of
Right.
videographers who were pro-life, and they went into Planned Parenthood clinics in different places,
Right,
but
right.
especially in Houston, Texas, and they asked people, well, we represent this bio firm
Whatever.
that they made up a name, and they made up some IDs, that, fake IDs. And
You wanted
they
to buy
belonged
body parts or something.
They want to buy body parts from aborted babies, and they called them fetuses, of course. And they said, yep, we'd like some brains, some hearts, some lungs, some different parts like this, and the Planned Parenthood, and they'd take them out to a restaurant, and they'd have dinner and talk about this, and had hidden cameras and mics.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And they'd say, yeah, we can do that, and we can harvest the fetus, as they put it,
Harvest.
in a certain way, so as to preserve the lung, the heart, the
But they're not
brain,
talking about the whole
and
heart.
so
They're
forth.
talking about the tissue, right? They're talking about tissue, aren't they?
They're talking about a heart, a brain. That's what they're talking about. These are fully developed babies, Gino. They're late-term
that much
abortions that are being done by Planned Parenthood regularly. And so that's what they're talking about. So selling baby parts on the market. So they got
I'm sure
everywhere
some of
they
the
went.
tissues, are you sure they're parts like an arm or a finger? I think it's like
Yes,
just the
Gino.
tissues.
Yes.
You
they're-
sure of that?
Yes, I'm positive of that.
I didn't see that anywhere, but okay.
Well, it's hard to look at. It's very hard to look at.
Anyway,
so these
so what
videos
happened?
came out, and they were released. First one, then another, then another, and then the Planned Parenthood, the Democrat Party, for whom abortion is its number one biggest issue, is
Right.
abortion, and so they were apoplectic about this. So it comes up. There's this drive to defund Planned Parenthood. That is, we give them
Right.
$550 million. And what does Planned Parenthood do? Well, they do breast exams. They do not do mammograms. They do breast exams, but they do 350,000 abortions a year out of the million or million and a half that are done. They're the single biggest abortion provider in the country, Planned Parenthood.
They provide that by doing it themselves, or they send
They
it to
do
a
it
doctor that does
themselves. They send mammograms to someone else, but they do abortions in-house.
Yeah, okay, so
You
what
go
did
in
he
there,
want?
you have an
I got
abortion.
confused on the
Okay,
salvation.
so here's what happened.
Go ahead.
This is a fairly long story, so you can jump in, and all right, because I looked into this.
I didn't
I
see-
started looking into this yesterday.
Now, wait a minute, they were
I was-
sued by who? These people that took the pictures were sued recently.
I mean, I'm getting to
Go
it.
ahead, go,
Okay,
do
so,
it. We'll
all
get
right,
it
so
all
people are appalled by what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And this made it into some of the debates, the Republican debates, and Fiorina
Right,
was,
they wanted to- right,
mentioned
she
it,
said
and
she
she
saw a
started
baby
rising in the
crawling
polls.
over there.
Okay, and then, so people everywhere are saying, we gotta look into this, we gotta investigate Planned Parenthood and so forth. So Houston is one of the places where it was done, because the clinics where stuff was filmed were
Yeah.
in that city. So, yes, so the Harris County prosecutor, DA, a
Right.
woman named Devin Anderson, looked into it, okay? She ended up, she convenes a grand jury,
Yeah,
and then, yes, and then we don't know what she does in the grand jury, because all of it is secret, and it remains secret. We don't know what she presented, but she...
they usually are, right? Yeah, I mean.
Always, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So then what did they do? They did not indict Planned Parenthood. They indicted the filmmakers.
Right, but why?
They said, one, you conspired to buy body parts. Well, they conspired to buy body parts so that they could film the ones who were actually selling the body parts, right? To expose what they were doing. But because they conspired, pretended to conspire on their own film, here they are. Yeah, we're going to buy a heart, we want to buy a brain, we want to buy, how much is this going to cost, and so forth. So that was a misdemeanor. It's only a misdemeanor
Yeah,
to do that.
okay.
But they were charged with a felony too for making the false IDs.
False IDs. Oh, they use
Driver's
special-
licenses.
Oh,
They made driver's licenses that were false, and that's a felony. So that's what they were charged with. They did this so they could expose Planned Parenthood,
Right.
and now they end up being indicted. And Planned Parenthood is absolved. So Devin Anderson, I'm thinking, what the heck who is it? So I look up, she's got to be a liberal Democrat, right? No, she says she's a pro-life Republican.
Good.
Whose husband had been the district attorney. He died, and Rick Perry appointed her
There
to
you
take his
go.
place.
Another
And
good
he's
Republican.
a pro-life Republican. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what is going on with this? Then I look further. We talked about Kermit Gosnell here before. He was a Philadelphia abortionist.
Yes, yes,
Who is
the guy
now
that went to
serving
prison.
3
Served
life
life,
terms,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because he would take babies
Sure.
out.
Right,
They'd be
smash
born
them up,
alive,
sell the
and then he
pieces.
would,
Yeah.
cut
Plunk
something
'em,
in the back
yeah.
of their necks and kill them.
Discovery
Like
baby.
that. And
Yeah.
so he's serving 3 life terms.
Yeah.
This guy, there's a doctor in Houston, did exactly the same thing. And 4 women who worked for him were appalled, who helped him do these things.
Yeah.
A baby would come out alive,
Yeah.
he'd take it and twist its head off with his bare hands. They had film of it on their cell phones that they did. They had pictures.
Yeah.
The pictures are
This is the
gruesome, I'm
pictures
telling
of a
you.
doctor now.
Yes,
He's not in.
pictures of the babies that he killed.
He doesn't
right?
work for Planned
And he'd do the
Parenthood.
same thing that Kermit Gosnell did. He'd stick stuff in the back of
Now,
their
he's
necks.
not
and
is he with Planned Parenthood in their organization, or is he a doctor that shipped the kid?
He had 3 abortion clinics. I don't know if he
Yeah,
was with,
see.
if they were affiliated
They're
with Planned
probably
Parenthood
partially
or not.
owned by Rick
But
Perry.
Planned Parenthood is the #1 abortionist. So
Yeah. So who owns?
He
you
might
know-
have been. He might have been.
Now the whole
Maybe he
thing-
had the franchise for
Now look at
Planned
the
Parenthood.
people you're saying.
I don't know.
Were involved in this in some way, shape, or form. Rick Perry.
Yeah.
What if they owned these abortion mills? What if those same pro-life people owned an abortion mill? They could, right?
That's a contradiction in terms.
It
If
would
you're
be. You would
pro-life, that
think- you
means
would
you're
think it
against
would be,
abortion.
you know.
And
Who's-
why would you own an
You
abortion
know who
clinic?
Ralph Reed is? You know
Yes,
who Ralph Reed is,
I
right?
do, yeah.
He and Pat Robertson were involved in something out in the South Pacific where they brought women in from Korea and places like that, these poor women, and they worked in these sweatshops, labor shops, where they couldn't. You know about that case?
No.
Been going on for years. And they forced these women to have abortions rather than letting them go back to their country of origin. You can find it. Look under Ralph Reed.
Ralph Reed
Yeah.
and who?
So I
Pat
think there's a
Robertson?
lot of people that make money in this
In the
field.
South Pacific?
Yes, it was in one of the
don't know
big
anything
islands.
about that.
Yeah, okay, look into it because there's a lot of that going on. Where somebody, oh yeah, we're this, we're that, and then they set up a doctor. They make a fortune on those things. They
Oh,
make a fortune.
yes. Kermit Gosnell had cash all over his apartment.
He was a
He was-
maniac. He was a maniac.
He was an evil murderer.
Yeah,
is what
but
he
he's
was.
doing time for it now, which is
He
good.
is.
At least he got caught.
Well, there was a Dr. Carpin. There was a Dr. Carpin. I can't remember his first name. And he ran 3 clinics in Houston. And he personally did this. He personally took babies and twisted their heads off to kill them.
Well,
Okay?
you know, that's
According to
that's murder.
eyewitness testimony, right? Okay, so guess what? He goes to the grand jury under the same woman, Devin Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
They did not indict him.
She might be a stockholder. I mean,
These
It's-
women said,
it's
not
out
only
there,
did he
man.
do these things, but he would, if the women, these late-term abortions, after 20 weeks or 22 weeks, whatever it is in Texas, you're not supposed to, it's illegal to
Right.
do abortions.
Without
Well,
a judge,
he
you
ignored
gotta
that,
go to a
according to these
judge, right?
women who worked there. And he was videotaped of them testifying about what, it's gut-wrenching to watch it.
well, the whole thing.
And then
you
they
know,
had, and the pictures, the pictures are burned in my brain to
Yeah.
look at, okay?
Well, I think it's
So
horrible
this stuff,
if they do these
the
things.
same woman, Devin Anderson. So now it gets
now she's
even
a
worse.
Republican
I mean, you
judge.
think nothing can be, no,
She's
she's
a
a
judge
district attorney. She is the
appointed
district
by-
attorney. She was
she elected?
appointed only because they couldn't have an election to replace her husband who died, who was the district attorney. So that's when Rick Perry steps in
Yeah.
and appoints her. Then then she's elected. So then she's running. It's an elected office. So she's running. She gets a $25,000 contribution from this attorney named Chip Kelly in Houston, right? I never heard of Chip Kelly before.
He's a
So I
coach-
start
he was a
looking
coach
into,
of the
so I Googled
Philadelphia
Chip
Eagles.
Kelly. Unbelievable what I find out. Chip Kelly represented this abortionist, Dr. Carpin, in Houston.
Yeah.
And then Chip Kelly also represented a guy named Robert Durst. The name didn't mean
Oh yeah,
anything to
he's
me.
the guy
You've
that
heard of
murdered-
him,
Yeah,
right?
he's the guy he bagged and tagged his the guy living in his house. He
Yeah.
chopped him up in little
And
pieces.
threw him in Galveston
and
Bay,
he got
right?
acquitted, and
He
he
did.
killed 2 wives.
Yes,
Two
that
wives
guy.
disappeared. Yeah,
That
Robert
guy,
Durst,
right?
multi-millionaire.
That's Chip Kelly's other client.
Unbelievable.
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 So I'm going through this. I'm thinking, what? I'm first of all, I feel soiled. I mean, the stuff
what
I'm
you-
finding out.
We got to go on
This
to something
Dr.
else.
Carpin. I
We
can't-
have to
I said,
go
so I start writing down. I wanted to publish it this week to come out tomorrow.
Here's
but
the thing, though, Tom.
I
What-
couldn't. I didn't have. I already sent them a column on Bernie Sanders. So
I think what
this
you're
is coming
having
out
here,
next week. What I discovered.
I must interject here. I think what you're having here is an epiphany. You're having an epiphany. You're beginning to realize at the ripe old age of whatever that everything in this country can be bought and sold. Okay?
God.
And all these people that you started out with months and months ago, years ago, this guy from Florida running for president, he gets all his money from
What guy
these
from
Wall
Florida?
Street.
There's 2 of them running for president.
There's
Marco
Mario,
Rubio and
Mario,
George- there's Bush.
Rubio, Marco Rubio.
What about him?
He got all his money from these some money agent down there that's just supplying him millions of dollars to run for president. The other guy, Cruz, got all his money from Wall Street. Hillary Clinton gets all her money from Wall Street. All these people are owned. They're owned. The policies are owned. If there's money involved, that's why I mentioned Ralph Reed. I was amazed by that case.
I just watched him on TV the other night.
He's not quite as young as he used to be.
He was
He still
interviewed
like
by
a little
somebody.
kid. Look up that case. It was
I
either
will.
Jerry Falwell or Pat Robertson with Ralph Reed in one of those islands. It wasn't Guam. It was one of the Saipan maybe. They had like a prison. They brought these women in when they got pregnant. They made them get abortions. They wouldn't let them go. It's an amazing case. But there's money in it. There's money in it. Until we bring back the guillotine. That's my argument. Bring the damn thing back. And when these guys on Wall Street stole hundreds of trillions or millions of dollars from the Americans, it's just bring them down, cut their heads off. It would end the problem.
You sound like Governor of Maine now, Governor LaPlante. He talked about bringing the guillotine for drug dealers.
Oh,
It was
God.
a week or 2
but
ago.
the thing is, look at it, it's going on everywhere. You tell me how many people went to jail for the crash in 2008.
Gino,
Swindlers.
there are over 1 million abortions done in this country every year.
Some of them for real useful purpose. There are. I mean, you're going to make
Since when is killing
rape,
babies a
incest,
useful
rape,
thing?
Rape, incest.
I
What
don't
about
agree
IUD?
with that either.
What about IUD, that 480, that drug that you can take the morning after pill? I mean, something like that. You consider that an abortion? I'm just
You know,
asking. We have a public out there that
Most
watching
of
us
the
right now.
abortions that are done because women don't want to have a baby. That's why
probably
they're
true.
done.
That's probably true. And it may
Yes.
be for
Over a
other-
million
yeah.
are done every year. What does that do to us
It
as
ruins.
a culture?
It creates a bad society overall. I think
I
long term.
remember when I taught,
If that's true. That
when
they're
I was
using it.
teaching, and we'd have debates. And debates are a good thing to teach kids to, to argue, to verbalize, to argue a point and
Yeah.
make counterpoints and so forth. What do you want to debate about, kids? And so I'd go to the blackboard and say, what do you say? Let's brainstorm some subjects. Abortion would always be. Or gun control
The kids
sometimes
thought it
would
was
go in there.
important, huh?
That's what they wanted to debate. That was
Wow.
the topic. Okay. Well, we'd debate abortion. So first, okay, well, define terms. This is pro-life people. That means they're against abortion. Pro-choice people. That means they want to favor
Right.
abortions. So those are the terms. Okay. So what is abortion? Let's define the term. Okay. And that's kids, raise your hand. Inevitably. Now these are 14-year-olds I'm talking to. So they would say it's when a woman is pregnant and she doesn't want to have the baby, so she has it killed. Okay? I write that on the board, just
Yeah.
as the kid said it. And it would always be something just like that, which is a perfectly innocent, not trying to spin,
But it's-
just
that's
trying
right,
to
right,
describe
right.
what
It's
it is.
how they see it.
Out of the mouths of babes came this. So say, I put it up there, okay? Say, now, let's look at that. It's a woman is pregnant, doesn't want to have the baby, so she has it killed.
Right.
1, circle baby. 2, a circle killed. Said, those 2 words you're never going to hear from a pro-choice person. Never say baby, and they never say kill. So now see if you can, as a pro-choice person would define abortion, now see if you, how would you define it? And then they're going like, okay, now they got to be devious. Now they got to cover it up. Now they got
Yeah,
to spin it
yeah.
a certain way, right? So that's when, well, okay, when a woman is going to have a baby and then she gets, oh, no, it's a baby. When a woman is pregnant and she wants to get rid of it. Okay, so then I put that. So this is how the process went. So what we're learning, spin control. Okay, so that's it. But the first answer was always the most honest and direct, and it's the one that America doesn't want to look at. And when
I
you show, so then, okay, then I'd say, okay, you get pro-choice kids and you get pro-life kids, pro-teams. If one was too many and not enough of you, I'd try to say, well, the smarter kid would
Blend.
say, you can argue the opposite of what you believe, and it's a good exercise, and it's a challenge, and so I'd usually get them fairly even. Okay, now we're going to meet in groups. We're going to meet in groups, and this was before the internet. This is the 80s. And so I'd say, now you got to right away and get materials. Pro-choice people, you right away to the National Organization for Women, the National Abortion Rights Action League, and you guys right away to Pro-Life America, whatever, whatever they were.
Right.
And so then I have to wait a couple of weeks for them to write the letters, get them back, everything's snail mail then. Well, there was one outfit in Maine, the Pro-Life Education Association, always sent back pictures, pictures of aborted fetuses, babies. And the kids would just be. So when they came back, then one morning they'd be going around. Kids would be showing them around to each other in the hallways and in their homerooms and on the buses and so forth, right? And then they'd come up to, the kid would come up to me with these pictures and wide-eyed and say, Mr. McLaughlin, have you seen anything like this?
Yeah.
And they'd show them to me and I'd say, yes, I have.
Yeah.
Can we use these in the debate, Mr. McLaughlin? And I'd say, yep. And then women, ed techs, or we used to call them teacher aides, would come up to me. These are women in their 30s, 40s, 50s. They'd come up to me and they'd say, have you seen the pictures floating around?
You started it.
And I'd say, yep, I've seen them.
Yeah.
Are you going to let those kids use those pictures in the debate?
Why not?
And I'd say, yep. You think that's a good idea? Why wouldn't it be a good idea? Well, after you see those pictures, there isn't much to say. And they're having a debate. So, I mean, the debate's over. And that's absolutely right.
Well, you
I had
know
a-
what?
Go ahead, I'll let you
Yeah,
finish.
again, because we've been on it for 5 minutes and we don't have a lot of time. The thing is, I understand where you're coming from. I understand where they were coming from. And I understand that the pictures are horrible. But see, by the same token, I wish we would get to a state of honesty in this country where, like I said to you, I think I said it on the show before. All right, a right-wing conservative, pro-life person, okay? Pro-life. And
That
I
would be
understand-
me.
I understand it. I understand it. I don't understand the pushing against, say, IUD, whatever it is, 486, whatever that morning
There's an
after.
IUD, which is an
The morning
intrauterine
after,
device.
the morning after, 486, it's something.
Okay, IU 486,
IU
yes,
486,
yes.
okay. Someone gets raped, they get abused by their father, whatever. The next day, oh, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Boom, they take a pill. Done. I don't have any argument
I
against
made a
it.
mistake to get raped.
Whatever. Whatever you were out drinking, whatever happened.
Okay, so you
You're
ended
afraid
up having sex.
you might have gotten pregnant. So you take a pill that following morning.
Yeah,
Somebody uses a contraceptive. Somebody uses a birth control pill. All those things end
Yeah.
the potential for having a child. Okay?
Yeah.
I understand that. I can't be against that because I don't consider saying that is a baby. Now, it may have the element of life, which it probably does. But to then conflate that, not you, I'm saying then to conflate that, sperm in a contraceptive is not the same thing. You have got people on that side of the equation, the pro-life side of the equation, that absolutely would not allow that. Absolutely would not allow those provisions.
not allow.
IU 486, contraception of any kind, IEDs or whatever they are.
Well-
So what I'm saying is that's the problem we have in this country. Because by the same token, people that would like to, say the pro-choice, pro-life people, would like to show pictures of aborted fetuses. Oh, you say babies. I don't
say
know.
babies.
I haven't seen it.
I
It's
slip
sickening.
and say fetus because I had to remain
It's
impartial
sickening to think
before my
about,
students,
okay?
so I had to discipline my language. I'd
it's
say
sickening to-
fetus or baby, depending on what you think
it's
it
sickening
is.
to think of that happening. But by the same token, people on the right, probably a lot of them also pro-life, are pro-gun. I wish, as a teacher, somebody in Connecticut could have taken the pictures of 26
We've
babies.
talked about this before. I think
Things
the
that
last
had
show,
their heads
yeah.
blown up. Now, what effect would that have
Yeah.
on the same school kid? If you showed them to your school kids, I don't think any of those kids would want to go out and run out and buy a gun. Once they saw that, any more than they'd probably, after you showed them the pictures, they would not be very positive about abortion. You must admit. I
No,
mean, I
they
can't think of them
weren't.
saying, let's go home and have some porridge and
They
watch
weren't.
another abortion movie, you know?
Well-
So here's the problem, and that's the problem with our country.
It evolved. Okay, there's so many things I want to respond to that you said. Some of which I agree with, some I don't. But
get you all
what
the
I ended
time
up
here.
doing about the pictures, the one particular woman who said, well, the debate's over when you show the pictures, and then we had a debate, and somebody took the pictures out. The other side just, they went down the pro-choice side, and they passed them, went to the next, and they looked at him, and they just. We concede, we're out of it. And so then, now, I understand why they did that.
Sure.
But then now, I'm a teacher, so I'm supposed to, the exercise is how to use your mind and find words and argue and debate and use facts and so forth. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I didn't allow them to be used in a debate. I did allow them to be, the kids would get them. They'd get them. And now on the internet, you just, you
of
do
course.
abortion, there they are. The
Yeah.
pictures come right out
Sure.
at you. So I wouldn't allow them to be passed around during the debate. I'd say you can describe what you saw in the picture, but you have to use words only. And that worked good. That worked very well. And that's what I did for quite a
Well,
while
pictures are
after
shocking.
that.
I mean, pictures are shocking.
They are, but you know what?
question.
We have to force ourselves to see what it is. What are you choosing? If you're pro-choice, this is what you're
Yeah.
choosing. This is what we're subsidizing. When you have a president of the United States that says, if you don't send me a budget that has $550 million for Planned Parenthood, I am going to shut down the government. And that's what President Obama has done. And then the Republicans in the Congress, they accede to that. They
'Cause they
say,
know
oh,
they
well, we
will.
can't because it would shut down the government.
'Cause you know what?
So
They
the
know they
president
will.
says, we want to kill babies, and that's the most important thing, because I'm a Democrat.
Right now, in the past 10 or 15 years, I don't know exactly what years, we had a House that was Republican, a Senate that was Republican, and a President that was Republican, and a Supreme Court that was primarily Republican. What was it, 5-4?
When-
In the
when
last
during the
10 or
Bush
12
administration.
Probably sometime during the Bush. I don't know
In
the
the
exact
early
year.
2000s, we did,
So
yes.
all those things that your side, I say the Republican side, hangs their hat on, that they want to get rid of Roe v. Wade and all that stuff, those things were all possible.
No, they weren't
They were at the
possible in
time.
Roe v. Wade. That has to be a Supreme Court decision.
Exactly. Well,
or a constitutional amendment to call
Right.
a fertilized egg
But
of
during
human
those
life.
years, with that control in place, your side, I say your side, not meaning you personally, but your side could have brought that case to the Supreme Court and wiped out Roe v. Wade or some portion of it, or really
All they can do is
debilitated.
appoint justices that would favor strict constructional interpretation of the Constitution and say there is no such thing as emanations from the penumbra
Penumbras
of
of-
the Fourth Amendment as they
Well, I'm
did
getting sick
in
to my-
'73.
I'm getting a little sick to my stomach over this
Okay, I
discussion,
want to.
but
Now you
I
said
want to move on a
you-
little bit. but-
I want to. I think
Okay.
it's fairly simple. Here's my point of view. Birth control is up to people what they want
Right.
to use, even though that's against my Catholic
course,
teachings.
course.
I know birth control is considered sinful. I don't personally agree with that. But however, when does life begin? Life begins when a sperm fertilizes an egg. We call it conception. That's when life begins. After that, it may look under a microscope like
Like
a
an
couple
amoeba.
of cells that are
Right,
reproducing,
right.
but that's when it begins.
You consider
Now,
that a baby.
RU486
Yeah.
would come in after that takes place, and before this fertilized egg can implant itself on
Exactly.
the uterine wall,
Exactly.
it will be passed out with
Exactly.
a period,
Exactly.
with a menstruation.
Yes.
And so I have to be I have to be morally against that because
course,
conception has
of
taken
course,
place.
of course.
However, you use a condom, you use birth control pills, then what that does
Right,
is it
and
prevents
seeds, right.
this fertilization from taking place, so there is no conception.
Wouldn't it be nice
So
then-
that's that is my rule of thumb. That is my personal moral code
But you
of
can see how
ethics.
RU486 would have a value to prevent 15 million, however many abortions.
Late-term
over the
abortions,
years.
when you're
Oh,
talking
late-term
about
is- that's a
brains and
different
arms and
ballpark.
legs and so forth, then
That's-
okay, one is more morally evil than the other. But again, and when it comes to rape and incest, if conception has taken place, and it's rape or it's incest, that's unfortunate that that's the case, but
Well,
it's
that's
still
what-
a
that's what
human
Rubio
being.
says,
It's still a
yeah.
human life. And here in my Catholic spiritual, that's when a soul is
Yeah.
born right there, and you remember that from
Of
your
course.
Catholic education.
But
So
you believe that.
I do
and-
believe that.
Yeah.
And then we know when death takes place is when the soul leaves the body.
I have a feeling
And
that a lot
so,
of,
and it enters at conception, and
Yeah.
so that's when life begins, and that's when life ends, and
Yeah.
and you have to hold to some standards, and those would be mine. And I think
you've got
that's fairly simple.
you've got more severe standards probably than the average, maybe some of the average. I don't know how you say that, but and I understand the prohibition on it. I understand that feeling on it. What I wish is that we could take that same relevance and apply it to all life. The man on death row who might have,
Or all human life.
yeah, all human, the man on death row that might have committed a
Well,
crime.
the
The
church-
person, and then all these people they've released because they found out, gee, that wasn't your DNA. You're going to go home now.
Yeah,
those are
I
the
understand.
the murders in a
And that's what the church
mall.
teaches, that the capital punishment is wrong. And they call it the seamless garment. That
Yeah.
is,
It
they're
is what it
pro-life.
is.
And that's what John Paul, Benedict, and Francis, all of them teach that. And
But it's not
and
getting
I
through.
have to.
It doesn't get through. The guy that goes out and drinks and runs over 3 people at a bus stop, okay, and gets 3 months in jail or whatever because it's the first offense. That's the same thing. It's the same thing with a different, different
I-
result.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're gonna. I hope we don't lose our audience today because it's serious stuff. It is.
It is
But I
serious
wonder
stuff.
if they can
And
handle it.
Guess, but this back to this case in Houston. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I was appalled. I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking into why did they indict the filmmakers? all right? So for making a false ID
I don't know.
and for pretending to want to buy body parts, and now they're the ones that have to face charge. And Planned Parenthood, that kills 1 million babies a year, is off the hook. And it's
But
and-
has that case gone to trial yet?
no, it just happened
It probably won't
a
go
week or
to
two ago. So I don't know when the trial is going to come up. But I looked into this woman, Devin Anderson,
Yeah.
and I was just appalled. That she takes money from this guy who represented that doctor and also represents this serial killer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was a very interesting case, that
Unbelievable.
Driss case. That was amazing how he got off. Amazing. He chopped a guy up
Yeah.
in little
His
pieces
name
that he
was-
lived
His
with.
name was Black, and it was in
Yeah,
Galveston,
and
Texas.
threw the bag in the river.
and he admitted doing
He admitted it.
He
It's
admitted it.
self-defense.
Oh,
Self-defense.
he said, yeah, we struggled over the gun, and it went off, and it shot him in
So
the
he
face.
chopped him up.
But they couldn't find the head, so they couldn't do any
couldn't
forensics to
identify
find
that.
out if he's telling the truth. That's why the
I
charges
think he had a
were dropped.
wife in California who died, and then he
Unbelievable.
moved to New York and had a wife in New York that died.
Yeah.
Then he went to Texas on this
I
little.
think he's about to face trial
know.
for those
Yeah.
things. That he was arrested in
Anyway,
New Orleans on a
let's
gun
go
charge.
to
Oh, wait,
one-
wait, one more
what?
thing.
Go ahead.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
So
I hope you
the
folks
same.
think so.
Okay, so this guy Robert Durst,
Yes.
he's arrested in Houston
Mm-hmm.
for urinating on candy in a CVS store. This guy is nuts.
That's not. Yeah.
He's
Oh,
nuts.
he is.
He was absolutely. He was arrested
Yeah.
for doing that, right?
Yeah.
So then his attorney, that contributes to this, Devin Anderson, he brings the case before Devin Anderson, and she reduces it to a fine only.
Misdemeanor.
Now here the guy's wanted in California for murder, and in California, New York for murder, and she doesn't even notify them. I got this guy, and she releases him.
I think. Have you spent
He
a lot
plea
of time?
bargained it
have you ever,
down.
you ever spent a lot of time in Texas?
I've never been to Texas.
Okay.
Oh yes, I landed
yeah,
in
you
Houston and
did.
changed
You were
planes
looking at-
one time.
You were looking at the
That's,
wall, the soon-to-be-built wall. The thing is, I've probably been there, I don't know, 15 to 20 times.
Yeah.
I never liked it. I didn't like flying over it, and I didn't like landing in it. They're crazy. They're a state where everybody that's got a little bit wrong with them says, gee, I want to live in Texas. It is an odd place to live, let me tell you something. Anytime you can go in a place, in a town like Fort Worth, and the only thing you find open after 10 o'clock at night is a bar or a chicken steak joint.
I was just amazed at what I kept.
Pathetic.
I'm not done researching it yet.
Well, keep going, and we'll have.
Grow.
I'm sure our nationwide audience is going to be just waiting for the result of the Driss case. But anyway, let's talk about something. The occupation in Oregon by. Did you know that was the Bundy people that were
Yeah, I
occupied?
did. Yeah.
So then, when they were told to get the heck out, they said, "Well, they did. They got out.
Finally. Yeah.
but
After
then they
one of
went
them
to
got
some-
killed.
They went to some meeting up in northern Oregon somewhere. And while on the way, I guess
After
some
they
yeah.
they left.
helicopter flew over, and one of the guys got out and grabbed a gun, and he was shot and killed by this
Well, that was before they left.
before they left.
Yeah. So after they left, there was a meeting somewhere.
Yeah, there was some meeting they were supposed to attend. It was a setup or something, I think. But it was kind of an interesting case, and now there's a guy dead. But I couldn't understand the Bundys involved, because they were the ones in, what was it, Nevada?
Yeah.
Where they had used.
It was the son of that rancher in Nevada
Yeah.
named Bundy.
Yeah.
So he was Bundy Jr.
God, oh man, and now
And
somebody's dead.
he
because
wasn't
of it.
killed, but he was present when with the guy that was killed.
Yeah,
And they had left the compound that they had,
to move to
this
go to
federal
some meeting.
office, a building or
Yeah.
something they had occupied, and he left. He was on the road, and the cops had a roadblock, stopped him.
Yeah.
And then what?
He went for a gun or something. I
No,
don't know.
he
At
did.
least that
But
was the
some other
story.
guy was out. I saw a still photograph of it.
Really?
And he was out. His car's here. There's a gully. He's up on a little knoll, and
Was it a
the
grassy
guy that
knoll?
ended up getting killed.
Yeah.
And the cop said, "Okay, hands up," and he reached for his waist, and where he evidently
gun?
had a gun.
Ooh.
So that's why he got shot.
Wow.
And I mean, sounds like it was justified to shoot him. And
But I
then,
thought that was-
but the farmers that they were there to allegedly defend. That I
Yeah,
explained
they
this
turned
before,
against them.
right?
They didn't want
They
them
said,
there.
"Don't do this. No,
Yeah.
we don't.
We don't
We're
need
going to
it."
go to jail. We don't think it's fair, but we're going to go
Exactly,
serve
yeah.
another sentence for the
Yeah.
same crime that they'd
Yeah,
already
5
served
years,
before."
I think they got something like that.
Something
It was
like
a long
that.
time. Yeah.
And I think that's an injustice, but still, so Bundy is looking for a cause to have a stand against the federal government. So
Yeah.
he sounds pretty loopy
Yeah.
to me, and it wasn't going to help their side, I think.
It doesn't help when you go there with semi-automatic weapons. I think that's going to tip off that there may be trouble,
I own semi-automatic weapons,
you know?
pistols.
So what, you
All
want
it
to do a
is
little?
most of them are. If they're not a revolver, they're usually a semi-automatic.
Yeah, but I don't like things that 100 bullet clips make me really nervous. Because if you're going to shoot a...
Or you're talking about assault rifles.
Yeah, how could you even
That's
eat
different.
a deer after you shot it with an assault rifle with the 100 bullet clip? I mean, they'd be picking through the bullets.
Well, I don't know anybody
I
that
mean,
hunts
your
like
deer
that.
would weigh so much, you'd be selling it by the ton. So what have you got for us? Anything? I've got some issues here about
I
Trump
told you,
skipping
my
the
notes
debate.
are on my kitchen counter.
Trump skipped the debate. I don't think it hurt him.
I think it did.
There's another thing. They said
And
Cruz.
I'm glad it did.
Here's a Cruz statement. The Affordable Care Act, millions have been forced into joblessness. Now that's something he said. That's a quote.
Mm-hmm.
Millions have been for that I don't believe. I think there's 2 million more jobs this year than there were last year, 2 years ago. Neighbors, according to Chris Christie, neighbors in San Bernardino knew of the plans of the attackers. They just make these statements. They're quotes. Rubio denies ever supporting amnesty. I saw the tape where he backed limited amnesty. How can you? They just do these things. It drives you
In
crazy.
these days of videotape and the internet, you're a fool.
Then Trump, I
don't
know.
Even,
Then
don't
Trump,
even try lying.
Trump says, "I didn't ask once for Kelly's removal. That pretty blonde that you don't like because she's pretty."
I didn't say I didn't like her.
He asked for it on tape many times. Get that woman out of here. I saw the tape, and I'm saying, how can you then say you never asked for the removal? They all do it. I mean, all the politicians do it, but
But
they're
you're
just.
only mentioning Republicans.
Those are the ones I picked up
'Cause you're a
on.
lefty.
No. But I imagine. Well, look at we did the whole show on your
Hillary, yeah,
comments to
right,
Hillary.
we did,
Hillary. This is a strange year. This is a strange year. I mean, we were getting
It is.
every 4 years it's getting stranger, and now we're into like the.
Well, now we're into where actual people are actually voting, and that's I'm so tired of polls and posturing, and I mean the
Oh, my
politicians are going
God.
to continue to posture, but at least we're going to have actual people voting for them or against them.
I
And
wonder
that-
what's gonna happen.
I'm so refreshed by having that.
I'm wondering, New Hampshire, what you think is going to happen? Because right now we've got Trump kind of leading the way with 35% of the vote or something. And
I don't
we've
know
got,
what's going to happen. I can only tell you what I want to happen, but I don't know.
I
that's
can't
the
understand
best
this
I can do
turn
for
to
it.
the guy from Ohio. He's been languishing
Basic.
with like 0.1% of the vote, and all of a sudden he's soaring into second or third in Rubik. The Rubik cube from Florida is up there a little bit too. I mean, that guy,
In the polls.
he
yeah.
just, now when I'm sitting with these Republicans, these guys are conservative, I mean, ultra-conservative Republicans. These are not middle of the road.
The ones that you were saying
Right,
when they
have
were
breakfast, have
opining
coffee
on
with yesterday,
Cruz.
right. They just think they got a bad team. They just don't like the team.
I think we have a good team.
Well, that's because you
I
like
do.
Cruz, but I mean, Cruz
But
is...
I like Rubio. I can live with Marco Rubio.
jeez.
Really, I do. I don't like that what he did with the Gang of Eight and
No.
on immigration. I think he's learned something that's not where the base is, and he's conformed himself to it. I hope that he stays that way. I could vote happily for Marco Rubio. For Carly Fiorina, I could vote for her.
Do you think she'll make a good president, really?
I
In
do.
your heart of hearts?
Yes, I do.
You, wow.
Yeah, I liked her. I had a one-on-one interview with her on the phone, and I liked her very much. I always have. Ever since that first debate where she, time
good
really
God.
flies. We have a minute left,
I
folks.
think we might have...
So, yeah, I mean, the New Hampshire primary is next Tuesday.
Yes, it
Correct,
is.
yeah,
And hopefully
and,
we won't have a big snowstorm or something that day. I'd like to see a good representation. We did not get to question 2. Well, let's take a quick...
one.
This is
Hurry,
from
hurry,
top
hurry.
management. Which candidates will drop out of the presidential race as a result of the New Hampshire primaries? Which ones are the most viable running mates? I don't think you
Jim
covered that in
Gilmore.
40
I hope he drops out. I didn't even know he was in.
What's
for
his
a while,
name?
but now
That
he's
guy
a
from
Buckeye.
Maryland dropped out.
Yeah, Rand Paul.
No,
No,
but,
Maryland.
Yeah, the former
Oh,
governor.
O'Malley.
O'Malley.
Yeah, the Democrat.
You
Yeah.
can never have an O'Malley for president. It just won't work. It won't work.
All right.
Where's
Well,
Mr.
folks,
O'Malley
it's been-
today? He's not at the bar. He doesn't have time for warfare. Okay, we got to get going. Hey, folks, thank you. Well, we did the question. This was top management. Okay, he likes his questions. Which candidates will drop out?
Oh, I Gilmore. I think I answered. Gilmore will. Rand
What was
Paul
he?
already did.
Rand Paul
I
did
hope
today.
John Kasich does. I mean,
He won't. He might be
bothers
the
me. Did you know his
guy.
father was a postman? He says that everywhere he
Oh,
goes.
I know. My father was, yeah.
But I don't know who will drop out.
My
I
father
hope,
couldn't
I hope
read.
they all drop out except for Cruz and Rubio, and then they eat Trump up for the next several primaries. That's what I hope
My
happens.
father couldn't read, the poor guy, but that's okay. He couldn't have been president then. Hey, thank you, folks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We'll see you on what, the 17th? Good God Almighty.
All
Thank
right.
you.